Good morning, everyone. Welcome to At the Inn of Wax and Sound. I am Matt, back here with Mike and Sebastian, as always. This week on At the Inn, we are Wax and Sound, and we're top 5 albums of all time. Gentlemen, how's it going? How was choosing this list for you?
Impossible. Absolutely 100% the hardest choices because I have 5. I could switch out for another 5 tomorrow.
You
And then
can
next
ask
week I
me the
could do
same
another
question next week, and
Right.
I will have a different
Yep.
set of albums.
Totally.
So
Totally. I looked at one this morning. I'm like, ooh, I like that one. That one's good. I could listen to that all day long. And I didn't even think about it until like 10 minutes ago. So,
Plus, the first go around when I thought about this, I did strictly studio albums. I didn't do like covers or any, but I have like a couple of this or that
good.
situations
Good.
here.
That's the
So
way it should be. It's like Matt said yesterday. You love what you love, and it doesn't matter if it's
Right.
well, as long as it's not like the Eagles' greatest hits, because that doesn't count, because that's just unfair.
hey, you said everything counts.
I know, but I didn't put the Eagles' greatest hits on there.
Neither did I. Do we?
All right. Well, let's just actually hold on. There is one more thing. A recent listener sent in a joke for us. This is another one of our little friends. Alex has sent in a joke, and it goes like this: What did the umpire say when the batter fell asleep?
What?
He's out.
That's a good one.
That's a gooder. I like that.
So, thank you, Alex, for that.
Thank
all
you,
right,
Alex.
you know what? Let's just kick it off hot. Let's get into it. Let's get deep. Mike, what you got?
Oh, good. Oh,
Give us.
Well,
you know
hold
what?
on.
Give us. Do you have
Do
any
we
honorable mentions?
do we just get the outlier out of the way first?
No.
outlier. What outlier?
Does anyone have a Metallica album in their top 5?
Yes.
Fuck no.
So do we just get that out of the way?
Yeah, let's just get it out of the way.
Okay,
And
well,
then we
hold
can
on.
go
Does
in-
anybody have any honorable mentions they want to talk about quickly?
Yes.
Too many.
I have
just
2.
bang them out quick. We don't need to get deep into it.
Okay. Seb, you want? You can start there.
Okay, I have 2, maybe 3. Okay, I'll go 3. Nirvana's Nevermind is an honorable mention. I'm not the biggest Nirvana fan, but you can't deny that's one of the greatest grunge albums ever recorded.
That album's good.
It is really good. It did
and-
make my top 5.
and it's aged very well
Yeah, it has.
for a genre of music that lasted for what, 3 years?
Well, I mean,
Ish.
grunge has gone through the years,
Yeah.
basically. It turned
Yeah.
into alternative rock and roll afterwards.
Yeah.
But so then, in line with that, my other one would be Pearl Jam's 10 as an honorable mention. And then my third one, which is completely off the board, but you cannot deny how amazing this album actually is. And I mean, I still listen to it from this day, but it wouldn't be my choice in the top 5 album, probably like number 6 or 7. Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh, Thriller is.
right.
Yeah, man.
Have you actually seen there's like 5 songs on that that are like Billboard #1 songs.
Well, and even the ones that aren't Thriller and Beat It and Billie Jean are bona fide. They'd be #1 hits for somebody else.
Yeah, Billie Jean, Beat It, Thriller are like the 3 big ones.
Yeah.
What else is there on there?
Well,
I can't
there's
remember. This Boy Is Mine, I think.
Anywho, let's not get too deep into the weeds on the honorable mentions. Mike, what do you got there?
I got 2 by the Hip because I love the Hip, and I could listen to Fully Completely and Day for Night, which they 2 albums that came out within 2 years of each other. Day for Night was really close for me. I love that album, and I still love that album. And I could put it on, and it just the 45 minutes just sort of just melts away, and it's gone, and it's just a really cool listen. But I didn't put it on because I got one that you guys are going to probably raise an eyebrow at, and it's not my Metallica mention, as we were joking about yesterday. It's just not happening. I can't do it because it's just stupid. But yeah, anyways, Matt, you got a couple of honorable...
Yeah, I do. Now, the first one I got is, and I found my old case of CDs too. Unfortunately, I didn't find all the albums I was looking for. One of my favorite rap albums of all time, Cypress Hill's Black Sunday.
Is that the one with Insane in the Membrane?
It is the one with Insane in the Brain. It's got lots of stuff on there as well. Ain't Going Out Like That, Lick a Shot, Cock the Hammer, Hits from the Bongs on
Cock the Hammer. That was on Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
That's a good song. I like that
Cock
song.
the Hammer.
And then the
Smash
greatest
Master.
hits album that I just played incessantly. My kids absolutely loved this. They kept asking me for the chicken song when I was in the playing for them, and I couldn't figure out what it was. What they were actually asking for, "Rooster" by Alice in Chains. So
Dirt.
Alice in Chains,
Oh.
Nothing Safe,
Good song.
absolutely greatest hits album, and then Nirvana Unplugged in New York.
Oh,
That's a-
good-
Honorable
good
mention.
album.
It is.
I last weekend up at the lake, I powered through about 3/4 of Dave Grohl's autobiography. I'm going to finish that off this weekend.
Nice.
Thank you, Sarah, for lending that to me. So I'm sorry it's taken me since January to start reading it, but it's absolutely great story. If you need a good read, it's not very difficult. It's not very long. It's about 250, 300 pages. So check that out. Dave Grohl's Storyteller, and
Yeah, Dave Grohl's he's the man.
he is.
He is
It's
the man.
and he road dogged it for a long time, and then sort of gets into it doesn't dwell on it, but it gets into what led into the Foo Fighters being Nirvana. So
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, so
Okay.
those
Those are
are
some good
honorable
honorable
mentions. In no particular order, boys.
No. So I do have a Metallica album. and
Let's get the Metallica one out of the way here.
Let's get out of the way. So I'm an unapologetic homer for every album that they have, and I was wondering which one.
Really?
I know, right?
You have no right to laugh, Seb. You were right
Stop
there
it.
with him.
Stop it.
So you guys obviously know me very well, and you know which albums I really, really love. But which one do you guys think I went with?
I know what two I want to pick, but it won't be that.
Okay.
I think you're going to say the one that drives me fucking mental, and that's going to be Justice.
No.
Seb?
No.
Ride the Lightning?
Oh, Seb, you know me so well.
Yeah, see,
It is Ride the Lightning.
I was hoping you would say either that or Puppets, but just knowing you like to fuck with everybody.
I like to, I do. I like to go against the grain, but Ride the Lightning, fuck, you listen to it.
Absolutely.
They still play 6 of the 8 songs like 40 years later.
Yeah.
At every show almost. Like
it was also like the birth of their musical genius. Like
Yes.
the first album was thrash, and they wrote that with the purpose of being thrash. And then once they started writing music for Ride the Lightning, Cliff Burton was really like, let's go explore the musical landscapes. And like it was their, they have some of the most classic songs on that album that they, like, you're right, they still play them.
Like they still play Creeping Death, Ride the Lightning, Fight Fire Fire, Cthulhu, Fade to Black, and Bells. Like a 6 of the 8. And they play them like every other show. It's undeniably, even the other two that they never play, Trapped Under Ice and Escape, they're not bad. They're good songs.
They're great. They're bangers. I mean, and that Metallica dropped 2 back-to-back 8-track albums that were absolute bangers. Nothing wrong. There's not a poor note on any one of them being Ride and Master. I agree that that's where my Metallica fandom lives. I think that was their absolute peak, despite the fact that they were outsold, by obviously the self-titled Black Album. But love Ride the Lightning. I couldn't pick between Ride and Master, so it's just, to me, that should have been a double album.
And
but,
I had to put one in.
Same.
Oh, interesting.
Mine's not the same as yours, though.
All right, the guessing game.
So mine is not Ride the Lightning. But finish your comment. So what else about Ride the Lightning makes it special for you?
It's one of the, like, when I was a kid, when we were young, when you introduced me to them and got me all of a sudden the obsession, like you put on, I can't remember whatever you put on. It might have been One or something.
I think it might have been, so the first
Might
time
even
I
been
heard
Sandman.
No, it was before that. Because the first time I heard Metallica was the Master of Puppets tape.
Okay.
And then before that, I heard MTV used to do like a metal 30-minute show back in like the 80s or 90s, I
Headbangers
guess.
Ball.
It might have been that, yeah. And then so I heard like a 30-second clip of Metallica's Seek and Destroy, and they had like no radio play. I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah, man.
And then I got the Master of Puppets tape and just went to town.
That was it. And then I know for me, like my first real memory is hearing Anesthesia. I'm not a bass player, but I was like, what the hell is this? This was like fucking bananas. And I didn't know anything about anything.
Some weird sounding guitar.
Right? Yeah. Like what? And then you dig deep, and then I got Lightning on CD, and it was just like on repeat forever.
Yeah.
And like I've done that with all their records, but Lightning. I don't listen to it a ton anymore, but when I do, it's just like, wow, it still blows me away. For a bunch of kids that were 20 years old, being able to write that type of music and just, beating people's heads in, like, it's pummeling, right? It's just, I don't know. And I will admit, I do like Saint Anger too. So you take my comments with a grain of salt. I like 4 songs on the record. That's it.
See, now you're invading Seb's territory now. He's about to discuss Saint Anger with us.
Oh my
but
God.
actually, I want to make one quick comment on the track, one of the tracks on Ride the Lightning, possibly my favorite on the album, but it's always really, really close with For Whom the Bell Tolls. Creeping Death is a religious song. That is Christian Egyptian rock because it is based on the plagues of Egypt.
Right?
I don't think his intention was writing a Christian rock song when he wrote that song.
Doesn't matter. He done it.
Especially when everyone in the stadium chanting "die" in the middle of the song. I'm pretty sure that's not the intention.
Hey, that's the wrath of God.
I mean, that one album itself has 3 songs that are in the top 10 of all time of Metallica's song.
Yeah.
You got Fade to Black, you got For Whom the Bell Tolls, and you got Creeping Death.
And they got nothing but shit for writing Fade to Black. And it's a song about losing their gear. Their gear got stolen, and then James was all sad. So he wrote about losing a guitar.
But it's not.
It's not. It's about losing your gear.
Yeah.
And
well, they hadn't really made it yet, so that's expensive to replace. Right? They were probably still road dogging it in a van.
Hey, whose gear did
let's
they borrow?
Be real here.
To,
the record company was still in stages of ripping them off, like every other fledgling band. It's like, yeah, go on tour, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just throw it in the rider. Yeah, now here's your $1.17 you made in the last 18 months on tour, and here's your bill for why.
Well, they were able to buy their parents a home in '86, so I don't think Elektra was bending them over. And
well, that's good because you hear horror stories there.
There is tons of horror stories where they get nothing, but they were really smart. They had good management. Lars is no dummy. He's a really smart, shrewd businessman, and he got them a good deal.
He started the whole Metallica project very smartly in terms of music. Like he got it. He got the music business and the twistiness of shady dealings. Like he understood that game
absolutely
really early on, which now is the reason they own their entire catalog for the most part. They have Black and Records.
All right, Seb, let's get into your album here, buddy, before we get too deep in the weeds.
We
do have a heart out here. Mike has some family obligations.
Yeah.
What is my album, Metallica album?
It's got to be Puppets.
It's got to be Saint Anger. 100% Saint Anger.
Okay,
if you say Hardwired, I'm hanging up, but it's got to be Master of Puppets.
It's not.
It's not?
It's Justice.
Really?
Yeah, you would.
And not to troll Matt.
You like garbage.
Here's the...
It is not garbage. It's fucking great.
Really? So, And Justice for All, regardless of the sound production quality, and there's a very specific reason why they did that.
That was all on purpose.
It's all on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, it's not by accident.
It was a tribute to Cliff. They turned the bass off because they're missing their friend.
Exactly it, right? And it is a honorable way of arguably an honorable way of remembering Cliff Burton. But they took all of Cliff Burton's teaching, and their songwriting has never been more elevated and more on the highest level of connectivity than And Justice for All. When you listen to that, how synergistically all the parts work together on every single song, they're the most intricate, they're amazing songs. There's so much pain and emotion in every one of those songs. You can see through it. Blackened and Justice for All, One, which is arguably the best Metallica song they've ever written. I would argue Master Puppets is better, but One is in the top 3 of all songs ever written by Metallica. There's not a bad song on the album, right? Like you got Harvester of Sorrow, Phrases of Sanity, Dyer's Eve, which is arguably the greatest thrash song they've ever written, To Live Is to Die, which is just heart-wrenching in terms of there's so much emotion in that album, which is overlooked because it's so hard and aggressive. I think it's the pinnacle of their songwriting ability, and then after that they, for lack of better words, they started to, I don't want to say dumb down, but they simplified their sound and parts. But if you listen and you study the music of And Justice for All and how intricate everything is, it's just mind-boggling.
It is bananas, man. Absolutely.
So I know Matt doesn't like it from the production value of it, but you can't deny whenever they play a song from Justice live, it bangs in the
Yeah.
arena. It
Look-
is everyone's like,
one
yes.
they put a lot of production value into, and it gets the place going. I will give it that. However, it's not just me that says that. I do have a Metallica coffee table book where Lars is quoted as saying Justice is unlistenable.
Well, I mean, they recorded it in a specific way, right?
They
So,
did. They did. They very much did. I think
Did you-
it's hey, it's your list, man. You do what you need to do. This has been an arguable point for long before this podcast started.
Did you guys know that album and the Black Album were recorded in the same room?
Yes.
It's a different sound
Right.
entirely.
Different sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy,
different
huh?
producer too.
Different producer too.
Right.
And yeah,
And
I think that's
you
where
know,
you really see Bob Rock's.
Uncle Bob.
And you guys understand that
fingerprints.
a lot of some Metallica podcasts that Mike and I listen to, Blackened is the #1 song written by Metallica.
Yep.
From the opinion of a lot of
Yep.
Metallica purists.
And Jason Newsted riff.
Yeah. And that, like, just the way the whole album opens with the reverse guitar, like playing backwards.
Yeah, it's cool. That's really
It's
cool,
just-
man.
They just went for it creatively with it, right? Yeah, I understand the tone of it is all similar, but as a complete album, I think they have never been able to attain that level of songwriting on any album after that.
Do you think
honestly.
they got that idea for the backwards guitar from like a Cliff Burton kind of?
It's gotta be, right?
Because they're not that
Creative.
open-minded. They're not. They're surgical. Like, it's okay, this part goes here, this part goes here.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle. They put the puzzle together, and then
But
they
you
just,
can smell all of Cliff Burton's influence on that album.
Oh, hell
for
yeah.
sure. Like
Yeah.
every single nuance of that album has Cliff Burton written all over it. So
absolutely.
imagine what it would have been like if he actually played bass on that album. It would have been #1 for
It
sure.
wouldn't. No, it wouldn't have happened. Because that album, the tone, the feeling, the emotional state of the writing, that album wouldn't exist if Cliff hadn't passed away.
Well, a lot of the
Everything that
songs,
album is a therapy album. It is the direct result of losing Cliff. Without Cliff, that album doesn't exist.
a lot of the riffs were written in '86 before he died.
They're already written, but yeah, the tone and
lot of it, right?
maybe the emotion. Might
The lyrics
not
would have
be-
been different,
yeah.
probably, for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Okay.
that's my Metallica album.
Sweet.
Matt, what's your Metallica album?
My Metallica album
Is
does
none of
not
them.
exist
No, no,
in this
no.
list. They did not even make an honorable mention, even though I do have some favorites, as I mentioned. No, I'm gonna stick with some rock and roll. I'm gonna go with my newest on the list. This band was really starting to cement themselves about 2012 with their album Sin and Bones. Followed that up in 2014 with Do You Want to Start a War, where they were really becoming a thing on their own. But what really, really solidified them, what really put them in a spot where, there's some large bands that are saying, come open for us. And I mean Metallica, I mean Iron Maiden. They're putting, asses in seats in arenas, and they even have a cruise. Fozzy with the Judas album is
Right.
just banger after banger after banger. I mean, you can hear Judas every Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. At our Brad Williams show that we went to, little comedian there, no pun intended. He came out to Judas. Yeah, no, that was bad, right?
Wow.
The comedy there, not on my part, clearly. And then it follows it up with Drinking with Jesus is one of my favorite songs. Burn Me Out, which is just absolutely, when they play Burn Me Out live, that whole place is just jumping up and down and rocking.
That's the banger song, right? I
Yeah.
remember I have one on my metal plays. I think it's called Burn Me Out. It's
Yeah.
really, really heavy, right?
It is heavy, and it is full energy, and like it just pounding, like the pool deck shakes with everybody jumping up and down on that. And then Elevator as well. Like, this really cemented Fozzy as, we've got some really good stuff in our past. We started out as kind of a side joke cover band project where they all had different names, and they were like the lost backstage Spinal Tap thing for 30 some odd years, and released this first album of all covers. It's like, no, these are songs that we wrote and produced, and other people stole them, and it just evolved from there. And it took a long time for Fozzy to overcome it's the wrestler guy's band. No, the lead singer and one of the co-owners of the band, yes, is a top-notch wrestler. However, this is badass all on its own. It I love this album. I just
So
play it over and over and over
the
again.
Judas album specifically, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
And that's not taken away from Boombox, which was their follow-up. And Do You Want to Start a War before that was fantastic as well. All right, let's keep humming along. Mike, what else you got for us?
Okay, I'm gonna talk about a record that you guys are probably gonna raise an eyebrow at because it's a complete juxtaposition of what we just talked about with me and Seb's picks, and it's a British band, and it was their third. It was their third record. I love their second record as well. Their first one was a huge debut hit, and then they put out another one, and then the third one for me is just it's got some amazing songs. It's got some songs with real deep meanings for me, and I don't know if I can find a picture of it or I can share it, whatever. But it's X and Y by Coldplay, which
interesting.
And it fell off for me after that because it kind of went to like a dance pop band, and it just there are songs on every album I like, but I listened to it the full thing yesterday. I listened to it, and then my kids love it, and I think that's probably a byproduct. My kids love X and Y, and they love A Rush of Blood to the Head, and usually X and Y is always on. And the song, do you guys know? Mom, my dad was sick. Fix You for me was a song that obviously, well, it's pretty obvious. I wanted to fix them and I couldn't. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the album, it's so great because the guitar isn't the central instrument in the band. The guitar is just for color, and it's for, and like all four of them, it's a synergy between the four of them. They all I don't know. To me, the music is just beautiful. It's like I don't want to compare them. I'm not even going to say it because it'll just be bad if I compare them to another band on my list. But I don't know.
With a B.
It might start with a B. But for me, it's a perfect record. Like there's no bad songs on it. And I don't know. You guys did look at me funny.
Well, I'm not a Coldplay fan.
I hate Coldplay. I can't stand them. You put a Coldplay song on,
really?
I'm leaving the room. I can't stand them. His voice just makes me want to bash
I'm not going to go
that
that far, but I can respect Coldplay as a band because they are phenomenally talented.
Yeah.
But they're just tone to me is
like it's polished Brit pop, like it's polished Brit pop. That's and I
there's a reason they're one of the best bands on the planet. So
right, and even now that they're basically a dance band, but I don't know. This was the last record they really played all their instruments on every song, especially the drummer. Now it's all programmed and whatnot.
Is it fair to call them a rock band though?
No.
Because they're classified as a British rock band.
No, I wouldn't call it. Maybe during when this record came out.
Rock, maybe.
I'd say like alt rock, alt
pop.
Alt
rock, pop,
alt pop. But yeah, I love it. Like it's and even going back to my gaming days when I was a hardcore gamer back then, that album would be on repeat. I'd be playing World of Warcraft for hours, and that would be that, and the Braveheart soundtrack would just be running. And there's a Joe Satriani record in there somewhere, but I can't remember what it's called. But I'd have these 3 records on repeat.
With the Alien?
No, it was.
Was it the one after that with Summer Song on it?
None of the '80s ones. It was. Okay. Yeah, no, it was. I don't like his '80s stuff, but that's a tangent for another day.
Yeah.
Seb, are you guys? Any comments?
I'm not a Coldplay fan, but I respect. I mean, my niece loves Coldplay. A lot of people around me love Coldplay. They're like, "Oh, Coldplay's coming in concert." I'm sure they can put on a banger show.
I've watched concerts on YouTube and stuff. I would love to go because it looks like an awesome experience.
Mike, I will not be going with you to a Coldplay concert.
Yes, you will, and we'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We boys have fun.
We can hold hands the whole show.
Maybe I should give it a listen.
You know what? There's a story, but Mike, he will do that.
What? Hold my hand?
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying.
Seb's not saying
he asked
no.
me for a favor once, and it got weird. I'll just leave the story at that because it's ambiguous enough that everybody out there is going, the
Okay, Seb, what do you got for us, buddy? Us on our Patreon where Matt elaborates on his story after the show.
OnlyFans.
Oh, God.
Okay, so going in line with Mike and how he said bands or music where all the instruments kind of like go into each other. So it's not like you don't hear a distinct, here's the drums, here's the guitar, here's the bass. Yeah. There's a album that was released 3 years ago by a band that I thought would never release another album ever. and it's Tool's Fear Inoculum.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of people will have Lateralis and 10,000 Days as better albums, but for me, the Fear Inoculum album itself has again with Injustice for All, it has like the pinnacle of their songwriting abilities. If you ever see Danny Carey's drum cam when he performs Numa live,
Oh man,
yeah, Fear Inoculum itself is a great song. Tempest, Invincible, Descending. There's some of the best Tool songs ever on one album. There's a couple songs in there that are like 2 minute, 1 minute like filler.
they had to
voice
break
things.
it up. They had to break it up somehow, right?
But there's a purpose behind that because you can't go 10-minute song into 10-minute song to 14-minute song to 13-minute song. Like it's just too much, right?
Too much.
It is a band that when you hear them, it's not any one person leading the charge. It's an amalgamation of all four parts into one song. And the whole theme of Fear Inoculum is about spirit and belief in your soul and all that, like everyone is a higher being. So tap into like your pneuma, which is, your spirit, soul, purpose thing. So every song on that album just kind of echoes that sentiment. So it's not an album that I will like put on all the time, but sometimes the mood hits me right and I'll just throw the album on and just close your eyes and you just are taken into a deeper place, spiritually almost. So
it's a great listen through headphones too.
You listen to through headphones. Don't listen to it in passing. Like put the headphones on.
The only way is
everything.
headphones. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is phenomenal, that album. So.
It's such a journey.
Yeah, and not saying anything negative or not to try to downplay Lateralis and 10,000 Days because those are phenomenal albums too. Lateralis is written with the Fibonacci code in mind. Like everything is, math. It's math rock or whatever, but they make it sound so good. But I think they just achieved a level of time away from each other, which brought them together more cohesively for Fear Inoculum. So a lot of people will say Lateralis is their best album. Yeah, but I like Fear Inoculum better, honestly. So
it's an easier listen. It's a more comfortable listen.
Yeah, it's less aggressive in tone. Like it's more comfortable for the masses. So
Absolutely.
To speak. It's a slightly slower and it's more about the aura of the song versus like specific riffs and stuff. So yeah.
And they write music very differently. Like it's the three of them, the drummer, the bass player, and the guitar player write together, finish everything and say, here, Maynard, put lyrics to this. Yeah. And Maynard's got no input to the music.
Fits it in too,
right? He fits it in to however, and that can't be easy. Like I'm no lyric writer, I'm no singer, but to have here's a 17-minute song called Tempest, and or whatever it was called before it was called Tempest,
and it doesn't even feel that long. Like when you listen to it, you just you escape into it.
They all don't like the 13-minute banger like Numa and Descending and all that. They don't feel 10, 12, 13 minutes long.
But find me a song of Tool that is in 4/4 time. Yeah, see, Liberty Twitcher said, totally agree. For me, Tool is in their own separate category and shockingly amazing. Yep. It is amazing.
Absolutely.
Their use of polyrhythms and different rhythmic times for, like the guitarist will play in one rhythm while the drummer will play in a completely different rhythm. And it just kind of flows synergistically and meets up in parts of the song. So they're like, they make things sound so simple, but it's not.
No, exactly.
There's other math rock people that will, like Dream Theater, for example. When you hear a Dream Theater song, it's hard, right? But when you hear a Tool song, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's over the top and all intricate, but it actually is, right? So they make intricacy sound simple and good, for lack of better words. But yeah, sure.
I'm looking up at there any Tool songs in 4/4 time, and the Pot is the only one, but it switches to 3/4, and the Pot it's their most straight ahead song. So but it switches to 3/4, and that's what Reddit says. It's the only one. It's like holy crap.
But it's still not all in 4/4.
No,
which is a rock, like 4/4 is a rock, like boom,
Yeah.
That's like the standard beat for like pop and rock music. And Tool's like, nah, we're never gonna write a song in that rhythm.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
makes them stand alone. So
And then this one guy commented, "Nah, because 4/4 makes a perfect circle." Ha 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 ha.
see,
Yeah,
there
see?
you go.
There you go. Funny, funny, haha.
There we go. So,
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna piss you off again.
We're not getting through all 5 of these today.
Never heard
yes,
of it.
we are. Yes, we
Never
are.
heard it.
Never.
I've
If
yet,
you're
I've
not
yet
gonna-
to listen to that
You
album.
never heard it? Oh,
Nope.
you got Spotify. Just
I know, I do. I don't have anything against Tool. It's just not something I've done a deep dive on. But yes, we are sort of running low on time here. We got some stuff to get through, so let's pick up the pace. Let's try not to get into the weeds. My next album is absolute
Garbage. No, just kidding.
protest.
I was just gonna say that too.
Them fighting words. But that's fine. After hearing some of the crap come out of your mouth, we may as well have one come out of mine too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, it's it is the pinnacle of protest music in the 90s. It is absolute aggression. It is Rage Against the Machine's first album.
I won't do
Rage
it.
Against the
Yeah.
Machine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Killing in the Name, bomb track, kicking that whole thing off. I mean, it just flows. It flows straight through. It could all be one song. Then you go into Take the Power Back, Settle for Nothing, Bullet in the Head, which closed. No, actually, no. Bullet in the Head didn't. Know Your Enemy followed after that. One of my favorite Rage songs, even though I don't sing it live nearly as much as I do Killing in the Name, which is a big crowd pleaser for, the karaoke crowds because they get to swear at me and with me at the top of their lungs. Wake Up, which was the one that they played during
the end of the Matrix
credits, which was just amazing. And then Fistful of Steel, Township, Rebellion, and Freedom. Like it is all just heavy, hard ass, go get 'em protest music.
Yeah.
And it is just anger and the spirit of the downtrodden and sell tickets and come to our show and try not to die. Which I nearly did when I saw them on the Evil Empire tour.
Very controversial album cover as well.
Yeah,
yes, it is the
Monk on Fire.
Yeah.
The Monk on Fire, and that's a real picture. That's something that really happened. That was
crazy shit. Crazy shit.
Monk's protest, and it's powerful. And
I guess Rage is probably like one of the number one protest bands ever in existence.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of protest in punk rock, and obviously a lot of 60s rock was based on that sort of thing, but there's nothing like Rage. And their name is all you need to say. You don't need Against the Machine. You just say Rage, and people know exactly what you're talking about, and that's exactly what sums up every album except their covers album, which was just a fun one.
That was a contract obligation because they were fucking done, and
they were having some issues, so they banged that out. And even their twists on some of the songs in that, like their twist on the Ghost of Tom Joad was absolutely fantastic. And Kick Out the Jams and Renegades of Funk.
Well, Maggie's Farm too, right?
Maggie's Farm
is fucking awesome.
That's a great song.
That's a great song.
And
there's
even
a drinking
Cypress
game
Hill
to that
classic,
song
How I
every
Could Kill a
time.
Man.
Every time they say Maggie's Farm, you take a shot.
Oh God, I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
You'll die.
They say
I would
take a shot every time there's a swear word and killing in the name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Just have the model like that.
Can we just highlight and appreciate how perfect their band name is?
Yes.
For their style of music and their purpose.
Right.
Like it just Rage Against the Machine. It's just it's like Metallica for metal music.
Yep.
Right? Like it's just a perfect name for that band, Rage Against the Machine. Like what other name would you give them?
I mean, the only other name that might be better was already taken by the Electric Mayhem. So, I mean, the Jim Henson got that, and as far as I'm concerned, the Electric Mayhem is the perfect band name.
I think Rage is better. That's my personal.
But yeah, no, it's in all seriousness, Rage Against the Machine's first album is just, it is what it is, and it took me a couple years to discover this one because I wasn't quite into that style of music yet. But when I did, it landed hard.
Yeah.
And
it was a good
still to this day, I got every song on it in my Spotify. It's all in my downloaded on my Spotify. It pops up when I'm driving forklifts around work, which can be scary, but not for me. Just everybody else around me. Right. All right, Mike, what you got for us?
Okay, so I have nothing as angry as Rage Against the Machine left in my list. I have nothing angry really in my list. So,
Rafi's
I'm going to go with with the band I was going to compare the X and Y to, because I might as well get that out of the way. I love the
I'm
Beatles.
offended by this already.
I know.
No.
It's just no. I'm not comparing the band to the Beatles. I'm comparing that one album.
Fair
me
enough.
Personally, like I'm not. I know Coldplay is no Beatles. Nobody is the Beatles. There's nothing out there. But which album do you choose? Like every album from the Beatles is solid gold. The early stuff, the psychedelic, the last couple. What do you do, right? Like
I would have gone with their number ones album because it is
okay.
like 17 number one hits. But I'm curious to see
I am
if
not
this album has a color in the title.
Did you see the corner of it when I lifted it?
I did not.
Oh yeah, it does. It is the White Album.
There we go.
Wait, who's it by? I can't see if there's who's it by? I don't see a name on there at all.
Right here, it's very close. You can kind of see it. There it is, right there.
There it is.
There it is. And the White Album is kind of misunderstood. They were not in a good place. They recorded all these songs kind of separately. They were, as the Beatles did in Get Back, they were fighting, whatever that meant. I thought they hated each other when I watched Get Back, and that their version of fighting is very different than what my image in my head of a band fighting is.
Right.
But fuck, there's some great. It's half it's electric, half it's acoustic. There's some weird shit on that album, like Piggies and Rocky Raccoon, stuff like that. And it's just not songs. I'm a deep cut guy, and this album is just chock full. Happiness is a Warm Gun, Dear Prudence, Glass Onion, Obla Di, Obla Da, stuff like that. It's fucking
Obla Di, Obla Da.
I don't know. I couldn't pick just one, and that was the first. I have a couple of Beatles albums on vinyl.
Helter Skelter.
That was the first one that came. I looked at it, I'm like, yes, the White Album. I got to pick one. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I subscribe to Jay Moore's theory that the Beatles is the most underrated band on the planet because it's the Beatles. Everybody admits that it's the Beatles, but when you actually sit down and listen to the records and you sit down and listen to the songs, it's like, it's
a whole
Beatles.
As Uncle Phil Anselmo said, it's a new level.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That they didn't make my list either, but that was close.
No, they weren't even. I didn't even think of Pantera to put them on my list because
same. I didn't either.
Whatever.
But anywho, Seb, what do you got for us, buddy?
Okay, so in my mind, the greatest rock album ever written. I'll just go right out of the gate. Guns N' Roses' "Appetite for Destruction." That album itself is the first heavy hard rock album that I ever bought, and to this day I can listen to that album over and over again and never get tired of any of the songs. Cool. Paradise City, Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine are three of the best Guns N' Roses songs ever written.
You're not burned out by those three songs? No?
As a guitarist, man.
That's amazing.
I'll tell you what, Sweet Child of Mine, still hell as fun to play.
Yeah.
Like that opening.
Hell yeah.
It's just so much fun.
And that was accidental. He was just goofing around in the studio, and Axl came in and said something like,
"Hey, that's good.
What was that?
Right.
Keep doing that." And that's
how great songs are born. It's all by accident.
Noodling, right?
Yeah. I would have... I wanted to put Use Your Illusion 1 or 2 on there, but that would technically be two different albums.
Well, not really. Because they were recorded at the same time.
Yeah, but I think as a whole album, like the 60-minute length, there's better songs as a whole than Appetite.
Yes.
And it to this day, I think it's still the number one biggest selling debut album by a band ever.
Oh, probably.
Mr. Brownstone, Night Train. It's just there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 number one songs on there for this band on one album. So. And Rocket Queen, they're all great songs on it.
And even a song like My Michelle is just so mean and dirty and just it's fucking gross and it's just it's so good.
Yeah, so I mean that's my my choice here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great choice. I mean, you can't argue with that. I mean, the album itself, even the artwork of it, got attention because they got in trouble.
Or the
original, yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
A few years ago, the AEW Chris Jericho's group, the Inner Circle of Chris Jericho and 4 other guys, released a shirt based on the design from the Appetite cover, but it was the 5 guys with their skeleton heads. And I have that shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. It's a great album cover. It's a great album. I'm not the best Guns N' Roses fan or the biggest Guns N' Roses fan, but I can definitely admit to that.
Well, I mean the original artwork for that.
I can't remember what you got.
That was the one that's on the inside of the
go.
liner notes. There's there may be some sexual assault involved in an alley. Stuff
there's
like that.
a lady that's being in the process of sexually assaulted by a robot, and then this like creature with knives for teeth is jumping over a wall to attack the robot. So
with Liberty Twitch, you're chiming in. GNR debut 18 million, Boston's debut 17 million. So thank you very much for that, Liberty Twitcher. Let's move on here. Let's get knees to chest here. I'm switching genres entirely, boys.
Yeah, you
on this one. As we mentioned earlier in our honorable mentions, there was a period of my life, and I'm still into it. Big hip hop guy.
Oh no, is it going to be Insane Clown Posse?
It is not going to be Insane Clown Posse.
Thank
this
God.
is the godfather of gangsta rap. The guy that broke out of NWA, his fourth album, and just absolutely knocked it out of the park with songs like Wicked, When Will They Shoot, The Predator, Gangster's Fairy Tale Part 2, Check Yourself, and of course, It Was a Good Day. We're talking Ice Cube. His Predator album in 92 was a banger. It's just absolutely end-to-end fantastic. I mean, you start off with When Will They Shoot and Wicked, and it's just a double shot of straight to the chest, let's go, it's on. And he, when NWA split up, there was a lot of back and forth with the other guys, most notably like Dre and Easy were really firing off shots on every album. Cube came out the gate and really put them in their place and went off and did his own thing and was pretty much left alone. And it's this album is just I can't get enough of it.
Really?
Again, to this day, every song is on my Spotify, and it really weirds people at work out again when my Spotify goes from like a bluegrass cover of Led Zeppelin to all of a sudden Ice Cube's coming out the speaker.
Yeah, that's
like,
weird.
What is your playlist? What is this playlist? And I'm just, and it might
I
be
like what I like. That's all you need to say.
That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is. As far as my favorite hip hop albums or rap albums, this is it. This is the one.
Yeah. Ice Cube's a legend.
Absolutely. And he did everything well. Anything he tried to do, he really put his effort into it to get really good at it.
Dude, he's a great actor too.
Yeah. He turned out to be a really good actor. His son's doing a really good job at acting.
That is one of the best movies I've seen, and I don't even like the genre, is Straight Outta Compton. Like that movie about the birth of the NWA and Ice Cube and whatnot. Like, it's such a good movie. Because I don't know any of those stories. Like, I know vaguely of NWA and the whole history of that and Ice Cube, but I don't know the tragic tale of Eazy-E and how connected everybody was in that hip hop world and the gangster rap world. So it was an eye opener for me. And I didn't even know until after the movie that Ice Cube's son played Ice Cube in the movie.
Yeah.
So
Spitting Image.
Yeah. They got a. I mean, it could have been a clone, right? All right, let's keep moving along. Mike, what do you got?
Okay. Well, I'll be quick. This one I think needs no introduction. It is Tom Petty's greatest record ever. It is Wildflowers.
Oh, see, right there. That was one of the ones that I've been humming and hawing back and forth on. That's a perfect album.
It is a perfect album.
Perfect album.
And Honeybee was the first song I ever figured out how to play on guitar by ear. I just put it on, I started playing it, and I'm like, holy shit, I can do this. But the rest of the record it's amazing. And even this giant deluxe box set that I have here has like a whole second record worth of material that he just held on to and didn't put out. Yeah, there's I think there is an awful lot of songs on here. There's there's tons. There's like an extra 12, 14 songs that he didn't put out that he was going to probably do a second record. Or I think the box set was his idea before he passed. But oh man, me and Mellow Music.
Did any of those songs make it onto different albums? Because I think he followed that up with the soundtrack to She's the One.
No, I don't think so. I've been listening to She's the One a lot too. I don't think so. I think these were left alone.
Okay, and she's the one is also one of my favorite Tom Petty albums.
So, pardon me. Climb That Hill is on here, a different version of it.
Right.
There might be a couple others too. I don't know all the song titles.
She's the one would have been the album you released right after this Wildflowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a second-time listener, first-time commenter, Mr. Vic. Vic, what's going on, buddy? Really into Wham, Anna, ABBA, Kenny G, great stuff. Yeah, thanks,
Nice.
Vic. Appreciate that. Getting in there, give us and your comments. Drop some of your favorite albums while we're doing this too. I mean, don't stick to what we're saying. Absolutely, chime in on what some of your favorite albums are as well.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why they've sold 800 billion records, and
yeah,
they're fucking
still played at every wedding ceremony ever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yes, I did 3 last year. Came out of retirement to do that, and I played ABBA at every one of them, including the Fozzy cover of SOS. And I thought for sure somebody was going to yell at me. Nope, they're just like, "This is amazing. Who's doing this?" I think I probably got a couple of Judas albums sold, or at least the song downloaded on Spotify when I was giving it out. But yeah, absolutely killer.
That's great. Okay, so, I'll go next, I guess. I guess it's my turn. Just right out there, Led Zeppelin 4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
buddy.
If you're going to take any Led Zeppelin album and go, this is the only one I'm going to listen to for the rest of my life, it's going to be that one. It's got arguably one of the greatest songs ever written in Stairway to Heaven. They, I believe, went on record that one of their favorite songs ever to write and perform was When the Levee Breaks. Phenomenal song. You got Black Dog, you got Rock and Roll, Battle of Evermore.
Well, even the acoustic stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's
going to California is just beautiful.
There's 8 songs on that album. It's a short album, 42 minutes, but it's such a good album. Like, it's such a good album.
That's kind of the thing about some of the stuff back in the day is you only had a certain amount of minutes that you can fit on the wax, right? There's only a certain amount of tape you can put into a cassette. So we see a lot of that. We saw it with Metallica. There's 8 songs on Puppet and Ride, and they're not all short songs. And Zeppelin didn't really write a lot of short songs. When you're talking Stairway, that is a long tune. So that's going to eat up a bunch of your space.
But I think that's what's missing a lot in today's music is that the majority of the artists today just kind of double down on like, oh, that's a good riff. Let's make that into a song. And then that's the entire song is that one riff and different variations of it. But like very rarely do you have bands that really explore the space of the theme of one song. Like how many moving parts are there in Stairway to Heaven? You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like it's just, it's just, nobody writes a song to tell a story anymore. They just go, that's a good riff. Let's put something over that. And then we can release a 3-minute song. Done.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify. Boom. Let's get that out there immediately. But nobody, very rarely do artists now take a lot of time in crafting a story in a song. It's just, here's a little excerpt. So,
and even Stairway Live
albums
like
don't
12 minutes,
really move anymore.
Yeah.
It's most artists are just like, okay, I have this. Let's drop another single. And what sticks.
That's the streaming world these days, though, right? People just release a single song at a time because they just want to get it out there immediately. So, but yeah. Okay, Matt.
Yep. All right. So we're going to go to an album that really got shit on hard when it came out. I loved it. This sat in my car. I was doing long drives back and forth just to really hang out with you guys for many years because I moved to a slightly different city. And what would happen is this album would go in my car and I would play it on the way home. And one day a buddy of ours, looked at the CDs in the selection in the CD wallet and went, "You never listen to this when anybody else is around. Why is it here?" I'm like, I listen to it every day going home. Soundgarden's Down on the Upside.
Oh, now, interesting. That's an interesting
This one came
choice.
right before they broke up.
Yep.
It got a lot more radio play, and it was very different than Bad Motorfinger and Super Unknown.
It was way different than Super Unknown too.
I mean, it still had a couple of things in there like Ty Cobb, but it was a little more radio friendly, and it was some of the stuff was a little more mellow. It was very diverse. I really, really loved this album. Unfortunately, they would split up right after that tour for years and years and years. But Cornell, one of my favorite singers, absolutely loves Soundgarden, and this album was just really stuck with me. It really did. It was something, like I said, nobody was around for it, but I'd be listening to it 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Almost daily.
Yeah, there's some good, like there's some
Interesting.
classic, amazing songs. Blow Up the Outside World.
I mean, Pretty Noose is on there. Apple Bite, Burden in My Hand, No Attention, and Unkind.
Overfloater is my favorite
like-
Soundgarden song. Actually,
Which one?
Overfloater is track 14.
Amazing.
Yeah, super deep cut, but it's awesome. It's just slow burn. It's great. Album is. I figured you were going to go either Bad Motorfinger or Super Unknown, but good on you for not.
Yeah, and both good
Although
albums.
those are
but
pretty
different.
good albums too.
Super Unknown almost made my list. I was really close because it's
Down on the Upside was such a big departure
yes.
from the others.
Yes.
It was just, I mean, there had some, like I said, with Ty Cobb especially, could have fit on either of those two albums, but it's on there. There's some different stuff. There's some diversity. You can tell they're going through some growth. They're enjoying their radio play, and Cornell will become a staple on the radio with his solo work with Audio Slave, and then Soundgarden would come back. But the fan base was really like, what is this shit? And kind of rebelled. And I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I had arguments with another buddy of mine who was huge on Soundgarden until that album.
Yeah, right.
How was the King Animal album?
It's good.
Because that was like the
enjoyed it.
The rebirth.
reunited.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't say
it
that
was
word.
it was good. It was. I think I listened to it a few times. It's more in the Bad Motorfinger vein. It's heavier. It's more aggressive. There's not the acoustic, sort of those Burden in My Hand type, amazing, like crazy guitar chord variations, stuff like that. It was just sort of straight ahead.
I should give all these albums a listen. Out
You
of
should
all
give
of
King.
the-
You should give King Animal a listen. It's good.
Out of
It's
all of the bands that have come out of that era, like Soundgarden's the band I listen to the least. You know, like Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains,
Sure.
Nirvana. I listen to all those guys way more. Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know,
yeah.
obviously Metallica. But
Well, I
they're
think
not in the same
Soundgarden's it's
genre.
almost an acquired taste, right? It's
Yeah.
they're sort of the epitome of what grunge was. They were so different but they were aggressive but delicate at the same time, and they interwove all that together.
Yeah.
And Cornell's voice was just otherworldly. Like he
Like
just
I will say, I listen to Audio Slave more than I listen to Soundgarden.
yeah,
Fair
fair
And
enough.
Audio Slave dropped 3
Yeah.
killer albums before they were no more. All right, we're scraping the barrel here, Mike. What do you got? Your last album?
My last album. Well, I guess I have nothing aggressive. Well, whatever. So this album is a compilation. It's not a greatest hits. It is the band's favorite songs. It was their choice. This came out 2 years after their singer died. And this album, this is the original 1972 vinyl release with my dad's signature all over the fucking thing. But whatever, that's what he did. This opened Pandora's box for me with music. The doors are still
Busted
for me.
open.
It did. It blew my mind. In a band led by an organ. That was the lead instrument in the band was an organ. And whoever thought a band led by an organ would be popular or even still popular 50 years after the singer died. But this is the Doors' Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mine. It is a compilation. It is a greatest hits. There's a lot of, it's got Break On Through and
Doors
fuck,
are so good.
yeah, oh my God, Riders in the Storm, stuff like that. And, Light My Fire, blah, blah, blah. But fuck it. In this album, the record is super old. You can hear there's a tick every time it spins around. It's like every 2 seconds, tick, tick, tick behind it. And just to me, it brings me
It's
back.
like a metronome almost.
It is. It brings me
Yeah.
back to that music discovery when you're a kid and you hear something for the first time in your head, your brains are just all over the wall because you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
What
that
the hell?
The wonderment and joy of
Yeah, like,
experiencing
what-
stuff for the first time ever.
What
is-
did you just
yeah.
listen to? I'm going to
Yeah.
move the needle back. I'm going again. And I put it on tape and I had it at school in my headphones all the time and I beat it to death and I still listen to it
It's
on
good. That's
vinyl.
good.
I won't listen to it, this compilation specifically on like Apple or whatever. It has to be the record, but I listen
You
to
need
it.
that warm sound to the
I
record.
need the warm
right?
sound. I listen to the individual records on Apple, but this one is specifically is when I'm
Vinyl or no shot.
yeah, right. And yeah,
Okay.
it's great.
Hey, and right before we move into to Seb's final album, we heard of
Oh,
the
hell
Korn
yeah.
version of Another Brick in the Wall.
I played it.
have.
I played
It's
it for my
good.
son
It's good,
the other night.
man.
It is awesome. It
All
is
right, so I'm gonna
awesome.
thank
Very good.
I'm gonna thank Vic for that. Vic,
Yeah.
buddy, I'm gonna give that a listen when we're done here.
It's a great cover in Korn. sure
yeah.
the original is obviously the original, but they do the song real justice, and it's done Korn's way, and
All right.
It's
fucking-
darker by Korn.
You know what?
Big time.
And
Yeah.
we
It's a dark
we've
song.
had that
Yeah.
that covers episode before, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there's more there to dig up. But I'm down for a solid cover, especially
it's funny that he brought that up
Yes.
because I literally played it like 2 nights ago for my son.
It's
We were just
really
listening
good.
to music,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, he doesn't like Korn because he's just not his thing. But I'm like, you gotta check this out. And he's looking at me like, really, Dad? This sucks. I'm like, no, dude, come on, open your mind. But he'll get there. He's in music discovery phase. He's gonna discover this stuff on his own.
yeah.
Keep
Early
strong with
teens,
Iron
absolutely.
Maiden, Cooper.
Well, that's and even we were doing. No, we don't have time. Never mind.
Yeah, let's move on. Seb, what's your last one, buddy?
So I had to put this band on because they are the grandfathers of heavy metal. But I'm
Sabbath.
Yeah, but I was kind of toying which
Ooh.
album should I put
Which
on.
album? You're not gonna do Paranoid, are you? Not the obvious one.
So I went off the board with this one.
Yes.
And I kind of cheated, I think, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
Oh, you did. We sold our soul for rock and roll, didn't you?
No.
Oh,
I did
good.
a compilation album, Nativity in Black. 1 and
Nice.
2.
Oh,
Nice.
look at you.
It's- none of the songs are written.
Very well played.
No,
But
fucking-
like you have White Zombie doing Children of the Grave.
Yeah.
Phenomenal cover. Megadeth's
yeah.
Paranoid. Phenomenal.
Yep.
Up and
Iron
running.
Man by Ozzy Osbourne in Therapy. Corrosion of Conformity's on there. Sepultura to Symphony of the Universe. The Wizard by Geezer Butler and Rob Halford. It's like all of the...
I got chills right now thinking of that album. It was one of the ones that I considered,
Yeah.
but I mean, with the rest of my list, and
You
now
even
I
have
know it's
Busta
on
Rhymes in there
Pantera
doing-
album, but is the Pantera version of
That's two. That's on the second one.
Planet of the Caravan? Is that? That's
That was
not on. It's on the
they put
second
it-
one, right?
They put it on Far Beyond Driven. That wasn't on
Yeah.
any of the
No,
tribute
they
records.
do. Pantera is on it, but they do Electric Funeral. They don't do...
That's right.
They do like
Yeah,
a funeral.
so Soulfly's on there, Slayer's on there, Godsmack the Sweet Leaf. Like, it's just the homage to the grandfather of heavy metal by all these amazing heavy metal icons that say, we're going to put our musical creative hat into
Yeah.
one album. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, phenomenal
I
album.
think Pantera's Planet Caravan is better than the original.
I agree.
And
It
oh yeah,
sounds better. It sounds better for one, but I
Just
just
like
think it's,
hot take, Megadeth's Paranoid is better than the original.
oh hell yeah, it's done. Yeah,
Ooh, that's a big statement, buddy.
I think
But
it is
I'm
too.
not going to argue it either.
no,
It's a hot take, but it has a quickened pace to it, which just
Yes.
accelerate the song better.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I think we discussed this on our covers episode where
Yeah.
they shaved like 40 seconds off of a 3-minute
Something-
song already,
something like
and
that.
it still
Yeah.
sounded great.
they flew through it big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
a double album compilation.
Good for you.
No,
Good
hey,
for
that's,
you.
that's
That is
perfectly fine because
Yeah.
my last one is even weirder than that. It's going to be so in 2001, Pearl Jam was way up on their high horse with we are not dealing with fucking Ticketmaster and their bullshit. And then they got back up on their high horse and said, we are sick and tired of bootlegs. So they released 72 live albums
Hell
in
yeah.
2000 and 2001 for every stop on their tour. Depending on what geographical region you were in, you could get 2, 3, or 4 different cities. I was working at the record store when this came out. We had Oregon, I believe Portland. We had Seattle, which was a killer show. And we had Vancouver, obviously. What I got, though, from one of our music reps was I think it was a 20 or 15 or 20 song. It was long. It was a really long album compilation that pulled different songs out of different venues from all over the country. And it was absolutely amazing. It is near impossible to find because it was promotional, but it is live Pearl Jam, which is a thing to behold because they're not that Metallica, Iron Maiden, big showy band. It's just, we're going to get on stage and we're going to go. Granted, Eddie did have some tendencies to climb things and jump off of them.
Yep.
As we've all seen. And, if you go back and look at old interviews, most of the band's like, we're at our peak. Could you please not fucking kill yourself? That would be
Yeah, right.
great.
He
you
trusted
didn't
the
die
audience, man. He
Well, we're
trusted
making
the
money
audience.
hand over fist.
Don't do it again. We can't lose another singer again.
Yeah.
'cause
And
Underwood-
I have this somewhere and I can't find it, but I also it was one of the very first things that I ripped off a CD and put into my original iTunes account on an old computer, and it's somewhere lost in the ether and lost in my storage room. But this was just such a mind-blowing live album in such a way that it was pieced together as well, so that you didn't really realize they were shifting cities until they say something like
Good
in
evening,
the
St.
song
Louis.
lyrics. What's that?
Like good evening, St. Louis, and you're like, what the fuck?
No, it'd be more like
Good night, Boston. What the?
They were in, I think, Alabama. It's like, it's hot as hell out here. At least we're not in Arkansas. Or during Wish List, it's like, I wish I was as fortunate as Tennessee, and the crowd blew up. So there's just little tweaks to the lyrics here and there that sort of give away where they are if you're not looking at the album, saying, this is Alive done in Miami. This is Wish List done in Nashville. This is Even Flow done in Seattle. Those are probably all wrong because I don't have the album in front of me, but it is by far my favorite live album. It is my favorite compilation, and it is my favorite Pearl Jam work. And there are very, very few copies to be had out there.
Cool.
And I wish, no pun intended, after having discussed that one song, that I could put my hands on it again. I know it's somewhere in the storage room, and that is on our list of things to get cleaned out. And when I find it, it might just go into a safe somewhere, so I always know where it is.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
But
so
yeah,
that's basically, they took like the best live versions of songs and just made it into an album from all of
they
tours.
absolutely did. It was they pulled it from all over the country, and they engineered it in such a way that you don't realize that they've switched cities as you're listening along. It's just like listening to one long concert.
What's it called? The album?
It's just a live compilation. It was a promo compilation to back up the sales of these 72 live Screw You Bootleggers albums they released.
Mm-hmm.
It's not listed anywhere. I've tried to find it. It only exists if you happen to be able to get it off of one of the record label reps.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find it on Amazon, but I don't think so.
Good luck. Good luck. I will eventually find it.
eBay might be your only option if you're really a diehard and want to find it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's it. It is what it is. It's just one of those ones that it was here and it was gone. I mean, a lot of promo stuff we got back in the day, it was just the album, and it had a nick in it or a special seal on the CD, and it's like, just do not resell and all that. And you can see it in my CD collection to this day, where there's a drill or a bandsaw mark, or the CD's got a different overlay on it, and it's one of those things. It was a rare bonus that we didn't often get.
Yeah, that's nice.
I wish we had more time because we could be here all day.
Yeah, we absolutely could. I'm not sure which album we hit on, Gord, there that you were talking about. I don't know if it was the Pearl Jam or the Nativity in Black, because I was off on a rant and I didn't see your comment come up. But we've had good albums all through the thing. Our honorable mentions, our top fives, and like Seb said, we can turn around and do this show again next week with different albums.
It'll be 5 different albums. It'll be Master of Puppets, and yeah,
it'll be Saint Anger for me, whatever.
Top 5 albums that we can use to piss each other off.
Absolutely.
Mike already hit on at least one.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam. Gord is saying it's the Pearl Jam, the live stuff. So
nice.
I mean, if you can go and I'm sure you can go out there and find the live anti-bootleg stuff from different cities. I mean, good luck collecting all of them, because there are 72.
Jesus.
Think about that.
Well, and they release stuff for every show they've done. They record everything and put it out.
Yeah.
You can buy whatever show you want.
Yeah, and it's all just one of those, like, you know what? You're not going to screw with our money. You're not going to screw with our name by putting out bootleg crap. You're not going to screw with our fans by jacking up ticket prices and service fees. And they're just like, this is, I mean, they're clearly about, they want their income from this because they worked hard for it and they goddamn deserve it. They absolutely do. The musicians deserve every dime they can get.
They do.
I'm not
still subscribed to Spotify and they pay the least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should be on Apple. They pay more, which still isn't enough, but they pay more.
Right?
Yeah,
You
and
have
but
to have
at the
Apple
same
products.
time,
You don't have
you
to buy
know,
Apple products at all.
No.
You just need Apple Music. You don't need an Apple product,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
I like
But
when
Apple pays like double what Spotify does. Spotify
But honestly,
pays
the best
fucking
way
shit.
you can support the band is by buying their album.
buy buy their
if,
album,
If you
buy
like
their merch.
if you like
Yeah.
the band, just
Yeah.
buy
Buy
the
it.
album.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely.
it's
And
as
that goes
simple as
for-
that.
that
and
goes
go,
for
and go see
anybody
them
that
live
likes
if you
the band,
can.
Yeah.
right?
And some people can't afford that, but just go
Nope.
buy their album. Like, do you like Metallica? Go buy their newest album. Do you like Iron Maiden? Go buy their newest album. Support them that way. You know, buy it for the artwork and the cover, and just to support the band.
Hey, Seb, there's rumors flying. New
Uh-oh.
Iron Maiden next year.
Stop it.
Yep.
Okay, Seb has just gone full Randy Marsh. He's on a number 4.
Back and
There's
forth,
some
baby.
strong rumors. They got an album either done or they're doing it, and it'll be out next year.
Oh,
And that'll probably be the last one too.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I actually have to go. So
Seb, Mike
Okay.
does have to go. He has a family
have
obligation.
to
So
go.
happy birthday to that wonderful family member
Happy
of
birthday,
yours. You enjoy the
Jojo. I
party.
love you so
Okay,
much.
okay. Yeah.
And join us again, I think, next weekend. We're going to do a record. So this is going to drop automatically. I'm putting
Not a
both of these
record,
two-
but a record. So
a record.
It was a
gonna
good old
record one.
record there.
And we're going to set it up to drop next weekend when Mike and I are both out of town. I'm putting Seb on the spot to make sure that we can do this before Friday
yeah.
evening. And we are going to be talking about the Tragically Hip. We're gonna dive deep because it is near the anniversary of their last concert, the big televised one.
Yeah.
it's a new Meridian.
Yeah, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But join us when we discuss that. It's going to drop on our Spotify, Apple sort of feeds, and I will get the videos up after that. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, boys. Thank you for the album notes. I'm going to go listen to one of them that I haven't heard, and
Listen to Coldplay.
definitely
Do it.
not
Listen to X and
Coldplay.
Y, man.
Injustice for all.
I'm going to be firing up the Tool.
There you
That
go.
sounded
Do it.
awkward.
Fire. Don't.
That
Yeah.
sounded-
Please don't. Yeah. No
Do
video.
not
of that.
That sounded
videotape your.
weird.
Don't send me
Yeah.
screenshots of you and the Tool. Anyways, bye everybody.
I didn't send you a picture of you having lunch with Mike.
Hey.
Hey. Oh.
Hey, all right,
fuck
enjoy.
You. Bye bye.
Aye, and goodbye.
Aye. Aye.